Happy New Year, everybody. Yeah, buddy. 2024, here we come. Look, y'all, we don't know about you, but we're as excited as a malnourished tick at a nudist colony. On today's show, it's time to get started and get ready. We're talking draw dates and states, changes on the elk hunting landscape, gear, goals, and other thoughts on the upcoming season. So grab a chair and slide up to the campfire. Let's talk elk hunting 2024, y'all. That discussion, our ElkBros shout-outs and questions from our awesome ElkBros mailbox. So, my friends, pull up a chair, adjust your volumes just right, and welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting, brought to you by ElkBros.com, with your host, Gilbert Ornelas, and elk hunting coach, Joe Gillia. You want to hunt elk? They live to hunt elk. Their goal is to share with you what they have learned grinding it out for over 35 seasons, doing what they love. So come on into camp and set a spell. Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunters.
Hello there, everyone. If it's your first time with us, glad to have you. Hope you enjoy the show. And as always, for those blue collar hunters following our show and grinding it out with us every week, welcome back to Elk Camp. I'm Gilbert Ornelas, the host of your show, coming to you from Spring, Texas, and joining me tonight's crew. That's right. We got the Northern Don of the Venezuelan Mafia, Mr. Manano Graterón. We've got the legend in the house from Cuesta, New Mexico, Mr. R.C. Knox. And joining us here as soon as our content gets go. That's right. We got the Cali transplant, the man with the plan, the man with the golden voice, the Western Contours podcast owner, Mr. Guy Duplantier. And that's right. We've got our elk hunting coaches in camp from Cimarron, New Mexico. We've got the Ninja, Mr. Leroy Chavez, and WWJGD's in the house. Happy New Year, Joe. Let's get this party started.
Happy New Year, boys.
Happy New Year, fellas.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year, everybody.
2024 is here, man. 2024.
It is upon us.
Yeah. Yep. Anybody have any New Year's resolutions? Huh? Are they happening?
Man, Big O's going to be lean and mean in 2024, brother.
Okay. All right.
We've already started.
That's cool.
So, yeah, man, got a real big goal. So, it'll be different on the mountain for Big O this year. That's for sure. We've got all our blood work done. Dr. Marbury's been helping me out a whole bunch. And I feel a ton times better. Everybody knows that I've struggled with weight issues for a long time. We're kind of figuring out why. Unfortunately, the COVID shot didn't do me much good and have much help. They're attributing to some of that. But we're back on a really good diet plan, a good exercise program. We're cold plunging, we're grounding, we're doing all the things that we need to do to get our weight off. And the main thing is watching what we eat, right?
Putting you on the spot, dude. Putting you on the spot. What's the number?
The number's 245, Joe, by the time we get to elk camp. So we're starting from deep in the woods. So, we got a long way to go, but the number's 245. So by the time I hit elk camp, and I've done that a couple of times, but it's been a few years before, I was in that neighborhood. Most of the time I'm between 280 and 285, somewhere like that. But this has got to stop. It's affecting my health, and it's going to affect me long term if I don't really get this turned around. So,
not only that, bro, man, I just want you here with us for a long time.
Me too, man. I've said this to many of y'all. I may not be around for the rest of your life, but I promise you I want to be around with y'all for the rest of mine. So at the end of the day, that's how I feel.
Yeah, you scared me when you said that. I was like, I hope he ain't planning on something I don't know.
We didn't know about that
it's high time that I've done something about it. So, we're taking steps into doing it. I mean, I'm day 4 into a pretty good program. Here it is. The new year will be something that I know that I can do. It just takes some discipline. And look, I mean, the life of a sales guy is one that can get away from you really quick with late nights and plenty to eat on the road and stuff like that. You just got to make it a priority to eat the right things and, eat healthier foods if you are going to eat. whole foods and not processed food, and stay away from sugar.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
look,
that's
man,
poison, bro.
I love sweets, and I got a sweet tooth, and my wife's a great cook. And I promised myself I wasn't going to punish myself over the Christmas holidays and New Year's, but on day one, man, New Year's Day, we started. And like I said, I mean, Joe called me, I think, yesterday, and I was on my walk. So, we're
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
and we're doing the right things, how we're eating and exercising at the same time. So, and putting the macronutrients in that I need to sustain my body type, so it's been, look, I'm telling you, I've told y'all this before, spending the time on the mountain with Dr. Bob was like somebody hit me in the face, and he was one of them. And listen, that's a big fella. And I mean, he hit me right between the eyes with it, and it was a godsend. You always wonder why God puts people in your life, if for a season or for just a minute or whatever. But it was truly a wake up call for me. So number one, he cared enough to say something, and number two, that you guys gave me the opportunity to coach you in elk hunting. So
anytime we come on, if you'd like to throw us what your current number is, so everybody can do it along with you.
Sure.
Hopefully, and put some pressure on there, right?
Yeah.
You can do it better. You can do it. One of my 2024 resolution would be to not to food rape you.
Well, I'm not going to let you, bro. So,
bro.
At the end of the day, man, I appreciate your help.
Well, there he is, making an entrance, man. There he is.
Man with the pants.
The man
the
with
owner of the Western Contours podcast. Fresh off of a new one, Mr. Guy Duplantier.
What's happening, boys? How we
Happy
doing?
New Year,
Sorry I'm
brother.
late.
Happy New Year.
New Year, gents.
Happy New Year, guy.
I've been stalling as long as I could, Duplantier.
Well, I'm actually going to interrupt us right now because I've got to, when we talk about the new year and I see people get affected by things and stuff like that, most people don't know that we were talking before we started here, and just listening to Manano tell his story and what was going on in his life and the things that were going on with his son, I think that's something, and I want to get it out right now at the beginning of the year, that, there is a huge issue happening with hunters in the United States. And we as educators, one of our goals is to inspire people and get more people involved in this, to be mentors and try to get people involved. But what is happening in this is that the median age of hunters in the United States keeps getting higher and higher and higher. We are, in a nation of millions, we have about 4 or 5% that are hunters in the United States. It's just a small amount of number that are really experiencing this outdoors, this passion, this being in touch with nature, whether it's spiritual, whether it's to put food on the table, whether it's just, to make yourself a better person, a better man, a better woman, a better father, a better mother, whether it's that, whatever the reason, and introduce that in that reality of what it is to our kids, where you have to make decisions that affect not only yourself, but the things around you, the animals, the nature, the forests, and the people around you. So, we need to propagate this. And, and I just introduce it that way because when I heard Manano talking about it, I really didn't say anything at the time there. But, Bud, you had some things that really happened for you here at the beginning, just before the beginning of the year and into this new year. And to see your face and to hear you talk about that, Manano, tell us what was so special that has been happening.
Man, this past week, I had the incredible experience of hunting with my father and my son. He's 4 years old.
4 years old.
Father, yeah. He just turned 4 2 months ago. So in my father, he's 72. So this was the very first time that we all hunt together. And to see my father's face and my son's face after I shot that hawk, it shocked me. It did something inside of me that, I mean, I will never forget. I will never. And it was an amazing experience, and see Tomas following the blood trail, and
Well,
and
okay, back up before we follow. Tell the story about you're in the blind, and here's your 4-year-old son. I mean, and the conditions weren't great, right?
yeah, I mean, we were 27 degrees, so we were freezing.
No,
So I said, okay, it got dark. We were hunting a big white-tailed deer that is driving me nuts. So he didn't show up, and the hawks came in, and they were, trying to wind us, and then all of a sudden we got out of the blind because it was dark and pretty cold, and they came back, and man, I just, long story short, I shot a hawk, and then my father was like 15 feet away, and he came back, and he goes, because the hawk, they stayed there after I shot him, and he was like, shoot another one, shoot another one. He was really excited. The beer lag is going on, to the roof, and then Tomas, he hit me like this. Let's go find the one you shot. I mean, the little boy telling me that do not shoot another one. Let's find the one that you shot.
Wow.
He shot me
From the mouth of babes.
yeah, man. And
so
my
awesome.
father, I said, did you hear that? And my father can hear nothing, man. And he was like, yes, I did. And he's right. So we got into the blood trail, and he was so excited, man. This is the first time he's following a blood trail with me.
Sure.
And he was extremely excited. Really, really dark. It was really dark. It was, like a lot of bush and pretty thick, pretty thick area. And when we found the hog, he was rolling. I guess Joe will show the video for you guys. I'll share the videos, and Joe,
Yeah.
you can.
So here's a clip of the video right here, and you guys can
Right.
check it out.
Mira el cochino que caza mi papá.
Right. So, and then he helped me skin the hog and everything. He was so excited to do it. Man, that tells me, okay, this guy, this will be a hunter.
Yeah, he's ready.
A great hunter. And I was reluctant to take it to the woods because he's just 4 years old. He turned 4 2 months ago. Now my father told me, okay, you have to encourage this little boy to be a hunter, like, to the right path, guided to the right path, because he's already a hunter.
Yeah.
And the memories that I have from this past week, I will never forget. And the feeling, having my son at my right and my father on my left, inside that blind.
You had each side of your lineage right there.
Yeah.
Right,
generations.
Right. And
3 generations.
my father, he's an old fella, silverback. He doesn't smile a lot. So to see my father almost crying, just watching Tomas be excited inside of that blind and be quiet. No candy, no video game, nothing for 3.5 hours.
Wow.
It was
That's
27
an
degrees.
accomplishment.
That's solid, baby.
Yeah, that's solid.
And I told
he
you,
was quiet.
But
I
think of
told
all
you-
those lessons, man. Think of all those lessons that happen. I mean, him dealing with the conditions, him dealing with the quiet, him making and pointing out something to his father from something that he has learned
Right.
from you. You
Sure.
know, one animal down, he's like, no, Dad, we got to get that one. I mean,
Exactly.
that kind of responsible, you know, consideration
Right.
of the whole thing going
Comes
on
from
there.
parenting.
You know,
Mhm.
yeah, it's just
Comes from true leadership, Manano. And I told you,
Man,
I told you you could do it, man, because you're that kind of dad, right? It takes a special leader to be able to, and it takes a special kid that really loves the outdoors. I mean, Logan started when he was 4. You know, he started shooting when he was 3, and he killed his first deer at 4 years old. I don't know that he ever knew
wow.
what he did, but at the end of the day, I got to spend time with him doing it. I have the videos and everything
Oh,
of him
yeah.
shooting his first animal. And
Yeah.
hell, he could barely walk. He couldn't hardly talk real good, but he could shoot the
Yeah.
eyes out of something with that 22 250, man. So you're going to build
That's
a
crazy.
young man. My son that's in there in his room right now from home from college, he's 21 years old. And today, you know, last week we spent a whole week together in the woods. And what you're going to build is a bond that'll never be separated, and you'll never have to look
Right.
for him, man. He's going to be in the woods the rest of his life. And
Yep.
I applaud you,
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
You're the man.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, bro. That was a bless for me. I mean, my father is leaving in the next few weeks, so and to have this opportunity, man, was a bless. Truly a bless for me.
You know,
Congrats.
and
Yeah.
that's why I really wanted to bring that up, and I wanted to bring that forward and send that message out there at the start of 2024 for you people out there that that are so passionate about whatever you do, however you hunt, whatever you hunt, where you do it, how you do it, share it.
Yeah.
You know, share
Yeah.
that passion, share that with your children and neighbors and friends, nephews,
Yeah.
grandkids. Yeah.
That's right.
Let me tell you this. Tomas here at home, he always, he's uh, going everywhere and fighting with Clara, and he cries and make noise. And
He's
we
a kid.
spend, yeah, he's
4.
just
He's a
4.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
But we
toddler, dude.
but we stay there for 5.5 days, and he didn't cry. He didn't ask for anything else after I served, each meal. He didn't ask for candy. He didn't ask for video games. He was a grown man, and that's
He was in
why.
grown man deer camp, baby.
Yeah, and that's why I always say this in our podcast. The woods change people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it changed my son. I mean, for a moment, it changed my son.
absolutely.
He's 4 years old.
Yeah.
He
So
didn't cry for 5.5 days.
Think about the admiration for wild places, the respect for life, and knowing where your food comes from, that full circle
Yes.
that you've exposed him to at 4 years old, man. That'll forever change his life, brother.
Oh yeah.
Forever
Yes.
change his
Yes.
life.
Forever. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I caught him going to the we got a Beto. This is gonna be fun for you. We got a huge freezer now.
Right. Right.
We put like 15 or 20 bag of ice there, and I caught him opening the door, trying to eat the hog from the freezer. Can you believe that? Man, that was crazy, man. That was
That's
crazy.
hilarious, dude.
And
you got
yeah,
something else to teach him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't eat fresh wild hog meat.
Yeah.
Better.
Get some
yeah, but
worms.
that's
Yeah.
the kind of the
Better
passion.
get him on ivermectin.
He was,
But,
yeah, he was a different kid for 5.5 days.
Yeah, no. And look, that's the one thing that I try to tell people is when the way hunting, when I was with my uncles, my dad and stuff like that, whenever we had family gatherings, I was always a kid. But when I got in the woods with them and I brought game and put it on the table, it was a whole different thing. I received a respect and I received an admiration that made me feel taller. You know, it made me feel of value. And it made me really want to be better at it. And it made me want to, you know, be better in the woods and be better, you know, with them, you know, out there. So it builds, it helps you develop. It does so much for you as a young person. And it takes you, you know, it takes you to it's almost like you are there. You get a whole different respect. It's yeah.
I think it's the single most important thing that I've ever done with my children, other than express my faith and lead them into that area of their life. But as the head of the household, I think is one of the most important things I've ever done with both of them. Lacey's 20, fixing to turn 23, and Logan 21, and both of them were hunting with Dad this weekend, and both of them took exceptional animals and had an unbelievable time. And I tie that back to, you know, Lacey killed her first deer when she was 5, Logan 4. And I mean, we've never took our foot off the gas. And it's been all tied to them being good kids. You know, we could do those things if they were making good grades, if they were being good for their mom. Hey, man, if we wanted to go hunt with Dad, we had to do what we needed to do here at home and hold it down so we didn't give Mom a hard time. You know, it's crazy, man. I think it instills some type of discipline in the children to where they're much easier to raise. At the end of the day, I was felt like that my grandfather did that with me, and I wanted to pass that on to my children. And that was even a conversation we had this weekend in the blind was, how do you feel about that? You know, do you feel like this was forced on you as a way? And they absolutely hit you in the face like, oh no, Dad, this has made us better people, you know, where Lacey's wrote a whole paper on it in college, you know, and it was very controversial because where she went to school had a few liberals up there. So at the end of the day, and I'm not bagging on liberals, I'm just saying they have a different viewpoint than what we do as conservatives, right? Or as the hunting community goes. So.
Yeah.
Look at Joe don't want the barbecue.
So let's not go there, bro. Let's not go there, man. Let's not go
But I mean, if you look at, to Joe's point with the if you look at our demographic now, right, we're pretty split when it comes to those political views, right? I mean, but the one thing that we have in common is what Manano's experiencing for the first time, right? Is what it really does. So the conversation isn't about conservative or liberal. It's about the effect that this way of life can have on anyone who touches it, anyone who desires to get out there and chase these wonderful animals that we pursue.
It's the lifestyle. It is
the lifestyle we promote.
And more importantly, it's never too late.
No,
that's right.
Yeah,
never
too late to get started.
No, never too late.
So let's get this party started. Let's go over to the ElkBros mailbox. Chav, you lead us off, man.
Okay, we're looking at a letter from Jim Redmond, and I read the question beforehand, and it doesn't show where he's from, but it sure sounds like he hunts where we hunt. It says, how do you keep a hunter motivated after misses and elk shot out from under you? Also, between the amount of hunting pressure, local tactics like driving slow through hunting areas at prime time, it was hard for my partner not to be discouraged and wanting to pack it up. And a lot of this is basically, you're going to have some encounters, bad encounters for different reasons. People are going to miss shots, but you know, if you really like it, just stick it out. Cause you know, I've missed some shots. I think everybody here has missed some shots. I remember one time when we were up at our hunting area, Joe and I stalked a herd for, gosh, I want to say about 4 miles. And I got to a point where a spike was going to be down real quick because I had my bow knocked and I was turning to draw back and boom, somebody shot that spike 20 yards away from us.
Yes.
And there was, during archery
it wasn't
season.
even 20 yards, dude. It wasn't even. I bet it was 10 yards away.
Yeah, so, this is archery season. Crazy.
Archery season. We are in the middle of a herd of elk. We are actually down on the ground when a spike bull walks up 10 yards away from us, is standing there. And I look at Chav and I go, look at this, man. We're like laughing because this spike is standing right there, right by us. And all of a sudden, boom. And this doggone spike hits the ground, right?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Right.
Did y'all ever
Crazy.
see the people who shot him?
I won't go into what I did after that happened because it got a little
Ugly.
it got intense after that,
Yeah.
man. That's all I can say.
Don't blame you.
Yeah.
Man.
But
Yeah.
it happened, right, Chav?
Yeah, crazy times. You just, when I was reading this, I go, this sounds familiar. And the whole thing was we continued to hunt, and I think eventually we both got one that year in the same area. And so, don't get discouraged. It happens. And I know Gilbert and I were in an area where we had a bull coming in, and this was probably, I want to say 7:30 maybe. We've been out there for a while, and here comes a guy in his four-wheeler. Put, never saw the elk, never saw us.
Bull standing right there, dude.
Bull standing right there. So yeah, it happens. It happens.
It does.
So,
You just got to endeavor to persevere, man.
Well,
right.
But in his question, he's like, how would we keep a hunter motivated that has missed and had an elk shot out from under him and is getting discouraged? What do you do to help somebody else that's in that position?
You're going to hunt long enough where you knock your scope off. I mean, you need to make sure that your gun's on when you shoot, and shoot it periodically when you're in camp. Yeah, if it's taking a tumble, go shoot your rifle. Don't just expect that it's going to be okay. My daughter this weekend, we've had her rifle up at the camp the whole time. She shoots an animal, he's 7 inches back. And I'm like, man, that's a bad, it's not a good shot. And we found the deer and everything, but still, she's like, that is not where I aimed at him. And I'm like, well, baby, let's go shoot the gun. Sure enough, gun's shooting 7.5, almost 8 inches left. And we never touched it. We've never bumped it that we thought, but I mean, riding around in the UTVs and stuff like that, I mean, it can just get off, or you get a piece of ammunition that's not agreeing with the rifle. I mean, whatever it may be, things are going to happen where you just got to know that when things like that happen, you keep moving forward and keep doing what you're doing. You're obviously an elk, right? You're obviously finding them. You shot at one and missed him. Go get your gun back on. Get you a little confidence, driving some paper, and then go make a good setup on the next one. And you got to know that if the only way for you not to succeed is to quit. Right? You
can't kill them if you quit. I mean, part of it too is understanding that when you go out on any hunt, antelope, mule deer, whitetail, elk, right? You're playing a chessboard, especially if you're on public land.
Yeah.
You're not. It's not mano a mano in terms of you versus the critter that you're chasing. You're playing a chessboard. There's X amount of tags in a certain amount of landscape with a certain amount of animals, and you have to be willing to adjust with those ebbs and flows of hunter pressure, things like that. So you got to understand that you're playing a chessboard when you're out there. If it was easy,
right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, when our first time in Colorado, guy, I'm thinking, oh my God, how there's Winnebagos driving up here with bus loads of people getting out of them. I'm like, what in the world?
But you can get in the woods and not see 5 people in 30 days.
No doubt. No, and 100%.
Yeah.
But I do understand how it can throw you off your game a little bit, especially if you've been used to hunting in places that aren't that populated. So it can throw you off your game. You just got to know that if you put your head down and you go hunt elk the way you know how, there are elk in that area. That's why everybody's there, man. Like you said, there's so many people, so many tags.
The other thing is you can look for reasons to give up. And,
you can find it.
And it's easy to go down that road. And what you have to do is, man, you have to just have that, that mentality of, I am not, I want to compete. If I'm competing against myself, or if I'm competing against these other people out of here, I'm going to go ahead and continue to move forward, man. I'm going to make it happen no matter what. Don't look for reasons to not succeed. Find a way, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I hunt with a group of guys, man. It won't let you quit. These guys will put their foot right in your
Hey,
hind parts,
Beto,
dude.
I had the best result in a situation like that with Luis and giving a hard time. So making fun of him
Yes,
will force
yes,
that
yes.
that will force him to go to the target and practice, and then after the second uh, opportunity,
Yeah.
he will control the virulacus. So
You know,
giving a hard
Joe,
time.
you know, Joe was with one of our hunters a while back, and the guy missed, and it was just a bad, he hit a limb or whatever it was, and the guy just was ready to quit. And Joe was like, "We ain't letting this happen, dude. You cannot let this
Yeah,
affect you this way, you know." And Joe had a real come to Jesus meeting with him, and Joe's a coach, and he ain't gonna quit, ain't in his vocabulary, and give up. I mean, in all reality, there could have been a second shot opportunity, So Joe's like, you got to stay in the game, bro. You can't just throw your
yeah,
hands up after you sail one. I mean, it is with, and look, I've been with Joe in his hip and watch him miss something, and he's right back. It's reload, right? Regroup, and let's get it done, And multiple
right.
times that's happened for Joe, myself, Luis, Manano. I mean, at the end of the day, this is
It's
hunting. It's dynamic, dude. It's
it's not
dynamic.
even just the missed shots, right? I was in the
Oh,
position where calling in bulls for other people, and I'm dead to rights, in the red zone, and this bull decides he don't like what I said,
right.
right? I mean, it's the same thing. Did that make me quit? I was pissed. I
Yeah.
sat on that stump for a while, but you got to stay in the game. You can't kill him from the stump, right?
No.
And you sure as crap can't kill him from the
In
front
the
seat of the
camp.
truck as you're driving down the highway.
Ain't going to
And
happen. Yeah.
and the only
Yeah.
thing that's going to happen when you quit is the regret you're going to suffer
Yeah.
for every single season after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I love about what we do is because hunting does not enable you. It does. There's no gimmies. That
No.
animal don't care. That mountain don't care how you feel about whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter. They're there to survive. You have to hunt hungry. You have to hunt determined. You have to hunt motivated with perseverance and understand that your feelings don't mean diddly out there. It's
Yeah.
all about the actions and what are done and how you do it. So, like they said, man, you are never going to kill anything from the truck. You can kill it from home. And then you're going to have all these voices that come in here. Well, instead of having those happen there, fight them boogers off when it counts and
Yep.
then get after it. Just friggin' tie them boots, pull up your britches like a big boy and get after it. That's all I can tell you, man. So,
Yeah, I was gonna add, if you don't want somebody driving through your hunting scenario at prime time, get off the roads. That same time that guy drove by us, that later on that morning, Gilbert called in two herds. Right too. Remember, it's that
Yeah.
crazy time.
Yes, sir. We were close to that right away, and that's why that guy was coming down through there. There was bulls there, and Chav said, let's try to get away from this pressure. And I was really still very new at calling elk, but I could make the sounds. I just didn't know why I was making them. And Chav would instruct me on what to say. So we marched up the side of this mountain, and I got one bull interested, and then before you know it, I got two herd bulls at bringing their herds together, and it was an amazing,
Yeah,
an
crazy
amazing
morning.
hunt. Yeah, it's crazy.
So Jim, I hope that helps you out, buddy, man. I hope, and look, all you can do is try. You can serve it to them, but they still got to be able to eat it, man. So just do the best you can with what you have and help them to understand that. But at the same time, make people understand that whatever happens for them is because of them, right? In both directions. There's a consequence in every choice we make. All right.
Definitely.
So, Guy, man, you want to take this next one, or you?
Yes, sir. Jake Chambers from Arkansas. Hey there, fellas. If you had to give a crash course on calling with a diaphragm and you could only teach 2 calls to help someone be successful, what would be the 2 calls and why? Thanks, and thanks for all you do. So for me, right off the bat, lost cow, regathering mew. That would be my go-to on that, right? That lost cow, I'm going to be able to locate herds. That bull's going to sound off, tell me where he's at, and then I have a chance to, hit him with that regathering mew. But that lost cow can roam around those woods and just blow, 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 make noise, and somebody's going to pipe off, be it another cow, a calf, a bull coming in to see, what that sexy little cow is talking about and why is she lost, and make her unlost. And then that regathering mew, that's the way to get that bull in. And it's non-threatening. And that combination has worked on multiple occasions for me.
I'd like for you to understand that he went totally on the cow side.
Always.
Didn't say location bugle.
Nothing.
He went totally on the cow side.
I would be the same.
Our philosophy is we're lovers before we're fighters. And I think, if you want to pull in any dude, you use a female, right? So I absolutely, I'd go with guy, except for the only thing I'd say is I would do a mew that I could either make a calf or a cow, and I'd be able to do a lost one, calf or a cow. So, once you learn to do that just regular mew and that insistent, and you can turn that into a regathering. It's just how you do that, right?
So it's a reverse inflection.
Yeah,
right?
It's just the inflection.
It's from high to low, low to high.
Yeah. So I think just really, if I had to tell somebody you'd go in the woods with one call, it's going to be a mew. That's going to be the one call that I think, and you could do it either calf or listen, calf mews are really going to help you in a ton of situations, man. So that's my view. Anybody else?
No, I'm 100% with you. That little calf mew too will attract those bulls because they know where there's calves, there's cows.
And I mean, and for the lost cow, that could be a lost calf too.
For sure, man.
Absolutely.
And then part of my reasoning was I want a response call and I want an action call, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just hearing that locate way off in the distance, right? I want something to say, hey, this is the action I want from you. So.
Yeah. That's what I wanted you to do. I wanted you to explain that because you said you had a response call and you had an action call.
Right.
I want to make sure people that are listening to this understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. So
you're giving a call that's what?
Yeah, that lost cow is saying, hey, that's your locate bugle for the cow, right? Hey, I'm over here, big boy. Somebody answer me, right? So he pipes off in the distance. Okay, I can move in a little bit. I can get into that red zone. And now I want him to come to me. I want action from you, not just a vocal response. So then hence my regathering mew. I want you to come to me. You get over here, show yourself to me. I want you with me. I'm lost, right? It makes sense. I'm lost. I hear you. Oh, please come to me. So there's the action. Hey, bull, come on.
Come here. In other words, especially because regathering mews are basically in any kind of insistent type mew is telling something to come to you, right? And it's the same type of thing that those bulls have heard since they were young, and whether it's grandma or mama telling them, they're going to do that, right? So that's where I go. And I'm telling you, I think you can go in the woods without a single bugle. I think you could use huffs, grunts, glunks, raking trees, and lost sound and kill a lot of elk, right? Yep. So
I would add a chuckle.
You'd add a chuckle. Well, a chuckle
is an invite.
Have a bull sound is one of those sounds that is not intimidating. It's an invitation, and it doesn't let another bull know how big you are. It lets you know that there's a bull there, but it doesn't let you know. Yeah.
It's definitely harder to master than the lost cow, lost calf, but for sure, man. I mean, it's something that you want in your repertoire. But this guy asked for 2, and I can't tell you how many bulls I've called in with just those 2. It's tons, brother. Most of the bulls that I've called in have been with the cow calf combo. Well, guys, you know what time it is. It's time for the ElkBros shout outs. If you're new to our show, this is just a shout out to our followers in a few cities with the most listeners topping our charts this week.
Okay, this top listening city is a suburb of Louisville and is one of the wealthiest communities in all of Kentucky. Located along the Ohio River, the location has stunning views of the river and the hillsides. The town is quiet and peaceful with plenty of green space for outdoor activities. It was first named Sand Hill, then changed to Wilhoit, then to its current name, Prospect, Kentucky.
Prospect, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Bluegrass State. Yeah.
It's funny to watch UK, and when you bring up that Louisville name and stuff, the animosity that happens there.
Oh, man. It's kind of like Texas A&M, baby. Better watch out.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, this city it's called the Gateway to Glacier National Monument. It was named Columbia because of its proximity to the headwater of the Columbia River before it was altered slightly to its current name. This town is ranked as one of the best and safest places to live in Montana. This is for Columbia Falls, Montana.
Columbia Falls.
Falls.
Chinatown.
Hey, the way that Manano said glacier.
Glacier.
Oh, I was like, damn, that's a nice glacier there, buddy.
That's a nice glacier, baby. That's French for glacier, baby.
Yeah, buddy. I was like,
Glacier.
Look at him today. Look at him, man. He looks all
Duplantier.
suave. Doesn't he look suave?
Glacier,
Mono?
baby.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
yeah, and I look younger, Joe.
Yeah.
I do. I think he got his makeup did today, Joe. He looked like he's got a little rouge on.
no, that's that 3-generation vibrance hunt right there,
There
buddy.
you go. There you go. He's still on
you
a high.
know what? You all know me because I'm pretty honest. And this morning I looked in the mirror and I said, you have to do something, bro. And I shaved.
Somebody told me I did a video, a live video. I was on a ruck, and somebody said, "Man, you look like a silverback gorilla with all that gray hair." I was like,
I actually have to dye mine gray like this, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Like I told you, man, I want that
right.
number for that toupee company, baby.
all right. This top listening city was the site for the Battle of Alligator Bridge, fought in 1778 during the Revolutionary War. This is a major intersection of several local highways, Interstate US 1, US 23, and US 301. Thousands of motor vehicles descend on the town daily. It is home to one of the largest mulch manufacturing plants in the United States, Callahan, Florida.
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 Dude, we just went from
Florida in the
Montana.
house.
We were in Kentucky, Montana, down to Florida, man. That's just
You're on the border of Canada up there, all the way down to the Florida Keys, man.
Is that where I was going to say? Where is that? Where is that in Florida? And what are they mulching to be the largest mulch manufacturing plant?
Probably pine needles.
Think that's what it is?
Yeah, they mulch a lot of pine needles down there. So when I was down there in the Panhandle fishing with one of the guides down there, his last name is Bryce. Anyway, I was fishing with him. He owned a straw company, and I'm like, "What in the world would you do with pine straw?" He goes, "We mulch it." He goes, "It's a huge business to take pine straw and turn it into mulch." I'm like,
yeah, everybody puts it in their
okay.
gardens and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
absolutely.
would have never even thought it was Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of pines in that country, man. It's like driving through the piney woods, Alabama, and Georgia. I mean, there's a lot of longleaf pines in there.
And in our part of the country, it's like chipwood, and over there it's pine needles, man. It
Yeah.
just that's their thing, right?
Yeah, Callahan's 18 miles from Georgia,
Yeah,
the Georgia border. So.
yeah. Up there on the northern panhandle
Mhm.
of Florida.
Callahan, thank you for listening, y'all.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Located on the shore of Lake Michigan. It was once named Fort Gilbert.
Ah,
And
what
later
a name is
changed.
that, man?
Oh man, who came up with this one? It was once named Fort Gilbert, then later changed to its current name, which translates to Root River. And this is the headquarters of many industries, including Case Heavy Equipment, Dremel Corporation, and many others. Home to children's Little Golden Books and the Ink The
Incinerator.
incinerator garbage disposal. The malted milk ball was discovered here in Racine, Wisconsin.
Racine,
Racine.
Wisconsin. Isn't that close to where our fella lives right there, man?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean up
Tom Roth?
Mr. Messner?
No, Roth. I thought Roth.
Oh, Tom Roth. He may live close to Racine.
Yeah.
I thought
We'll
he
have
did,
to
man.
we'll have to reach out to Brother Tom, see if he can
Root
get us some
River.
milk balls.
Yep. All right, man.
We'll send them to RC
Hey.
because I can't eat them.
I can't eat them either, dude.
Before we move on, being that this is the first one of the new year,
Yeah.
thank you, every single city, every single listener out there. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of what you choose to listen to. There's a ton of stuff out there. We hope that we continue to help you to be inspired, motivated, and learn things so that you can have some incredible experiences out there. But without y'all, there is no show. Thank you so much. We've gone from 30 listeners to I think we're in well over 20,000 cities in the U.S. We're getting ready. I think we either might be over getting ready to hit our 400,000th download or something like that.
Wow.
Dude. It's pretty cool. So thank y'all.
It's very cool. We're very blessed to have the platform to do what we do, and then have the listeners that have turned out and made 2023 an absolute banner year for us. And we can't wait to show you what's coming next for 2024.
Where are we at now, Guy?
Main content.
Love it, man. So on this section, we want to get ready for 2024, man. And what we're going to do, we're going to give you the elk draw deadlines here. We're going to talk a little bit about some changes on the elk hunting landscape. We're going to talk about a few places. We're going to talk about some gear changes for us in 2024, some things that we're looking at. If we get there, we'll talk about some team and personal goals for 2024 as well. Just trying to get ready, man. We're trying to pump up. We want this to be an incredible year for all you guys. We're excited about 2024. Anytime that we get to continue doing what we doing, it's absolutely not work. It's just a pleasure. So, the draw deadlines coming up.
Get your pen and
January
paper.
31st, Wyoming non-resident. You're going to have that. That's the deadline to get that. It's already opened up at this time. I think you get to modify right around May 8th on that. Results come out May 16th. You're looking at $707 for your general or limited entry. And what's interesting about that, guys? There's some things about Wyoming that when you go and read on how to do these applications, it doesn't always come clear. So when you are applying in Wyoming, you have to designate whether you're going to be applying for a limited entry area or you're going to go into the general. And there's been some changes there that we'll talk about on that here in a few minutes or so. You can either just do the regular application for $707. For antlerless is half that. They have what they call a I don't know if you just call it a lower price or how they have a specific name for it there, but the antlerless tag is $303, and then you can be part of you can pay more to try to get better odds in what they call yeah, I saw that. We'll talk about that more, right? So $2,000 you can hopefully get a little bit better odds in that draw.
That's the special tag.
The special tags.
Yeah.
But it's
Special.
yeah. So they still use point sharing as well. So if you're trying to get into an area that needs so many points, you only have one, somebody has 8, you can share those points to try to get in some of those areas. So they have that. Arizona comes up February 6th. That's the deadline. Remember, these are deadlines. These are not starts. Deadline for New Mexico is March 20th. For Montana is April 1st. Colorado, April 2nd. Utah. Now, Utah, some of these these dates have been kind of tossed around a little bit. I don't know if they're exactly accurate, but what we have right here, April 25th, Nevada, May 8th, Oregon. And now for that one in Utah, that is a specific type of draw that you're putting in. I think I'm trying to remember if that's just all bulls there. I'm not exactly how that is determined. You have to look at that. Again, I would really look over Utah on the application. Oregon, May 15th, Washington, May 22nd. Wyoming residents, their deadline is May 31st. Idaho actually already had, didn't they have their early sale that they did
I
on
think so, yeah.
December 1st,
Yeah,
right?
it was in December.
Yeah, and I think June 5th is when you can try to get the
Leftovers.
leftover tags. July 11th is Utah General any bull elk, and July 18th, again, check on Utah General Spike Bull. These are deadlines that we have on these. So those are just some dates for you to think about. You know, we're already looking at New Mexico. We're even looking at Colorado. We're trying to make some choices as well. But let's talk about, guys, some changes on the elk hunting landscape for any of these states and any of these things that that you guys are aware of that we need to make other people aware of.
So I'm going to rewind us up to Wyoming, and this probably needs to be verified, but the point sharing is an average of your points, right?
Correct.
So I've done that with guys where, you know, I'd had 4 or 5 points. They have 1 or 2. So if you have, if your spread in points is large, I would recommend not applying with the guys. If you have 8 points, you don't want to apply with guys with 2 points. They're going to average that between, you know, say you have 3 guys, 2 guys have 2 points, 1 guy has 4 or 5 points. They're going to draw that guy down
to 3
points, right? They're going to average that, right? So it kind of hurts. Also in Wyoming with the special tag, I can't believe the special tag is 1965 now. Good Lord, man.
So
that
explain.
Sorry. So the 1965 with the special tag, you still have fees on top of that. So just forewarned there, unless something's changed since I last applied in Wyoming. You have your archery tag to buy, blah 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 blah, $7,500. I'm sure that's gone up with the price of the special.
And your
with the special, yes, and what the special allows you to do is go into your archery season, hunt that archery season. If you're unsuccessful, then you have, I believe the date is January 31st, and you can hit another season in there on that special. The reason that the special came about was when they changed the tag allocation percentages for non-residents. This gave residents another opportunity to be in a smaller pool of non-residents, gave you an opportunity to be in a smaller pool of point holders and draw out of that special. So essentially you're paying, it's not even double anymore, but now you're paying over double the price for what used to be, in my opinion, a good opportunity at getting into Wyoming if you wanted to absolutely be there. But points, point spread, point creep, things like that. And now with more people applying and wanting that special tag, I would, for me, stick with the general tag. You don't get the same opportunity in that late season, but the opportunity for a guy that has 3 points on a special tag, you can be pushed out for 2, 3, 4 years because of point creep, things like that. And this is from experience.
Now, now correct me if I'm wrong, because this is the way I understand it and the way that I've tried to read all of this out. So basically, when they take a look at the tags for non-residents, you've got 40% that go to the limited entry areas now this is of non-resident tags that are provided, right? You have 40% for those limited entry. Then you have 60% that goes to general tags, right? Now, when you take a look at what they've done in Wyoming now is they have now split the state into 3 different regions, a west, an east, and a south that are general areas. that you can apply for. So you're not, when you're applying for that general tag, you're applying for one of those general areas. Now, what they've done is of those general areas, they have taken, of that 60%, they've taken 40% of those and made them the special tag. So basically, if you pay that $2,000, it's supposed to give you better odds. So you're basically paying more to try to get a tag in the same general tag area that somebody else is paying $700 for. Am I wrong in that?
No, that's
No,
right.
that's
It's
right.
just, it's an increase in odds with a smaller overall pool.
Right.
It's not necessarily an increase in odds, but that's what it is. And then one of the things that I don't like personally, I love Wyoming and I want to hunt Wyoming as much as I can, but you put in and say I drop that $1,900 into that tag, well, I don't get that money back until after draw results, and it's up to 5 weeks after draw results. So now if I look at the dates that the other states are in, right? So we're talking January 31st, I believe it's like the middle. Oh yeah, Joe has it here, May 16th.
Mhm.
So up to 5 weeks after, and I've never had it go that long. I have missed New Mexico, Arizona, Montana, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Oregon. So what happens is now I got $2,000 wrapped up into a special tag, and I miss my backup plan. So what's my only other backup plan?
OTC
Maybe,
Colorado.
yeah, maybe an OTC hunt in Colorado, and that was my backup plan before I moved here,
'Cause
right?
they
Right.
hit your card right away, right? I mean, they
Oh yeah, that
Oh,
money's
yeah.
right away.
oh that money's gone.
They
That
put
money
it in an
is
interest-bearing account where they're making money on it. I
Yeah,
promise you.
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
They
that
ain't
money
stupid.
that you're
Isn't that
not
the whole
seeing that
idea, though?
money.
Isn't that the whole idea of this whole process?
What?
Yeah,
them
the
to
whole
make
idea of
money?
them is to have money for 5 months and make money off of it. And
That's what it feels like. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, as a businessman, shoot, give me money. Give me, how many?
Yeah, let me invest your money for
Give me
5
$2,000 for 5 months and let me put it
Right.
in something, right?
Right.
months.
You
Let's see if I
Uh,
can't get you your $1,900 back.
Right.
and
And
if you don't, so what happens is if you don't get the area that you want or you don't get the draw, you're still out. Let's see, you're going to get refunded what that application, that 1965, but you're not going to get the application fee.
right. Or
I
your
don't-
license fee
or-
back.
Or your license fee.
Yeah.
You'll still have to
Well,
buy your
license,
general
right?
license.
So, thank
Yeah,
you
it's-
very much. Right?
Yeah,
And
it's a-
90%
it's a
of us are
hard-
going there to just hunt elk. We're not going
Yeah.
there just to hunt grouse or whatever else is there.
Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow. And I played the point game long enough, and I love Wyoming. I mean, that was my first elk hunt was Wyoming. It's a beautiful landscape.
Oh, man, gorgeous.
The game is
Lots of it.
managed superbly. I think they do a really good job in a lot of areas, but in terms of being a non-resident going to Wyoming,
Tough.
I'm sure some Wyoming folks will appreciate it. It wouldn't be my first choice as a non-resident trying to strike out, especially on that special tag.
RC, did you find any things that concerned you on the elk hunting landscape?
Yeah, I think that one of the things in New Mexico, everybody has to do their harvest report, and that's due before February 15th.
So what happens if you haven't done your harvest report and you put in for the draw?
You don't get drawed because they kick it out. You have to have a harvest report in before they'll even consider it. Now, if you
Now,
are
the harvest
after
report's for people that have hunted in New Mexico. correct?
exactly if
Successful
you-
or not, correct?
Successful or
exactly
not.
successful or not, yeah. And if you go over the 15th, they add a $8 charge,
Right.
Yeah.
which is that's pretty good. But application deadline, like Joe said, is March the 20th. Yeah.
And I don't. I
Manano,
actually
write that
think
down.
that's I think that's a good
Yeah.
thing though, right?
Yeah,
Because it's helping them
Joe's
with
full.
harvest statistics. It's helping them with
Oh, most
herd data
definitely.
and things like that.
Yeah.
When I saw that they did that, I was like, oh, okay, great. That's, good on you, New Mexico. And in terms of being a responsible hunter, I think we owe it to the states that we go
Hell
to,
yeah.
resident, non-resident, to report
Yeah.
whether we're successful or not,
Oh,
right?
sure,
I mean,
exactly.
it allows them to say,
Yeah.
hey, this GMU, we had this many hunters successful. Then the data that you're getting back, if they're appropriating that
quality
data
data.
correctly, it's quality data coming
Yeah.
from the folks in the field
Mhm.
doing the work for that 7-10 day period.
Well,
I
we
would
always
like
talk
for
about
everybody, that hunted in New Mexico not to fill your report out, because that'll help us.
Oh
people.
my gosh, that would be nice.
Then we
Oh,
can
my
definitely
God.
get drawn.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can get drawn
No,
in.
seriously, I make a point when I get home from my hunt. I feel it's like automatic, because I don't ever want to get kicked out. So
Right.
I make a point of going in there and filling mine out and getting it done.
Well, we
Yeah.
always talk about conservation,
Yeah.
right? If we are going to manage our animals, if we're going to help our agencies manage our animals, this is critical data for them.
Yeah.
So, we become part of the team when we give that information out.
Absolutely.
So it's important to get that there. Now, there's something that I didn't want to lose out on Wyoming that that kind of hit me too, because when you mentioned the point game, Guy, you were talking about playing that point game. In Wyoming, if you do not purchase points for 2 years, if you miss purchasing points for 2 years,
You lose
lose
them.
all your points.
Yeah,
You
that's
lose
been
them all.
Wyoming's been that way for half a dozen years or more when it comes to that, that letting those points linger. If you're playing that point game, you're gonna, plan to come out of pocket $150 every year until you garner enough points. And then one of the things to mention too is and it may not, I haven't applied to Wyoming in a couple years, but when you apply, if you do not check preference point, like you want a preference point, if you don't draw, you don't get an automatic preference point. And there's a couple states that are going down that path. So you actually have to say, I want a preference point if I do not draw. And if you don't,
can't you purchase?
you can
a point like in
purchase, yeah.
October?
Yeah, you can purchase your points. I believe it starts like, I could be wrong on off a couple weeks, but I want to say it's the end of September through like mid-November ish.
You purchase
I
multiples,
thought it
or
was
is it one at a
October
time?
31st was the deadline, right around there. I thought, but
It might be just October 1 to the end of October, but yeah, non-res purchase for those points. Because you don't just get one, automatic. So don't
Is
apply
it
there and
singular
think that's
point every
yeah,
year?
singular point. So you can't purchase, 3 and
10
4,
points,
2, 3,
yeah.
4 points at a time.
Yeah.
You can purchase 1 point. So just to give folks an idea, because I was on that list of emails that went out and said, you're going to lose your points because it's been a couple years. And I think I spent close to $200 if it wasn't over $200 for elk, antelope, mule deer for
To keep
buying
your
my
preference.
points. Yeah, to
Yeah.
keep my preference points going. And I could be off on the dollar amount. I want to say I'm almost certain it was $238.
Wow.
That's
You
just
don't
for
get
my
that-
points.
And you don't get that back if you don't draw. Huh?
No, I mean, your points are your points, right? You
Right.
pay for points,
It's an
so you can,
investment.
and for me, it was like, okay, I saw what happened. I got some points now with the purchase this year, so I'll have a chance based on point creep. I should have a chance next year or the year after that to go in there on a general tag and draw in some of their units.
yeah, depending on which unit you go for, some are going to be
Yes, sir.
yeah, more.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think that was the biggest points to bring out about Wyoming is the increase in the cost for the special tag, going to basically $2K for that, and to remind people about the points and stuff like that. So Wyoming is an incredible state. It really is. It's just incredibly beautiful. Would love to go there and hunt it sometime. we'll see if that ever happens, before I get to, man, I might have to do it in the next lifetime. We'll find out. But
I'm sorry. I'm sorry because we're going to get into this and you're going to get my wheels turning. And another thing to remember, right? If you're looking at Wyoming is unless you're going to go guided, you do not want to look at wilderness areas, right? In the state of Wyoming, you have to have a outfitter or guide or a resident guide to get into those wilderness areas. And in Wyoming, they're vast. So look at that landscape before you pick that unit, because now say you went in on the special tag and you drew, now you're looking at another few $1,000s to get that guide going. So sorry, JoJo.
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. The one I was going to throw up next is going to be Colorado. But before we get in there, I thought there was an interesting thing that I wanted to bring up. And Utah had some data that I thought was really interesting as I was looking at Utah. And Utah is a state that I would look at, really would. There's a lot of cool things happening in that state for the draws and the things that they do there. A lot of different opportunities. They're really working on offering opportunities. That's the way it looks on the surface to me. Unless I have some of my buddies from Utah tell me any different there. But what was interesting to me was I was taking a look at the tags that were offered. Like, for example, the general season any bull elk tags. These are non-residents. They said it was like a 15,000 quota, I think, for all of these tags. I'm not sure if it was individual in that or not, but here's the interesting thing about it was it had data for each of the years. And for that first general season any bull elk tag with 15,000 quota there, it says that in 2020 they sold out in 8.5 hours. 8.5 hours. Okay. In 2021, 9.5 hours. In 2022, 4.2 hours. Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing, because those are basically the COVID years, right? If you take a look at that, that's pretty much our COVID years and coming out of COVID, right? So there was still all that happening. In 2023, it took 13.5 days. Not hours. It jumped back to 13.5 days.
COVID spike, man.
What's that?
That's that. Well, I mean, it's obvious if you look across, the Western states, right? We had a huge spike in just hunting license purchases
during COVID.
During COVID. It was the COVID spike, and those numbers have kind of petered back down a little bit.
Hunting was essential, man.
Yeah. Well, the scare of hunting being essential was,
food.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was a lot of that. I think a lot of people there was different time during COVID, right? There was more availability. People, again, with, when you don't see food on the shelves,
right. What are you going to do?
Legitimate fear right there, man. And we did have that big spike. That was, so their general season spike bull elk tags. This is just for spike bull. And they had 15,000 quote on there, up to, I think it said up to 4,500 multi-season tags on this. They went on sale mid-July of 2024. But going back, looking at the data, 2020, they sold out in 7.5 days. This is for a spike tag, right? 7.5 days. In 2021, 4.5 days. In 2022, 8.8 hours for those. And then back into 2023, sold out in 3 weeks, right? So again, you're seeing that change. Now, a lot of people should be going, because you had people that came into it that there was all these people that went in, and either they got there and found out it was a lot harder than they thought. They weren't ready to do it. It wasn't all
Look at the harvest stats.
all that it was cracked up to be, right? And then you also had the people that, were frustrated because they didn't draw,
Mhm.
with all those things were happening. So you had people that just like, nah, forget this. I can't get a tag. I'm dropping it. I actually heard this from a lot of people.
Mhm.
Forget this stuff. I can't draw a tag, right? So
Right.
when that starts to happen, you're losing people that are out of that pool trying to draw. So those tags take a little longer to sell, kind of giving a little bit more opportunity again, coming back to people, right? Because it's not about the number of tags. Those, like you take a look at Idaho, those number of tags have stayed the same for non-residents, no matter what. They talk about they have too many non-residents in the state, but that allocation of tags has stayed the same every year. And when you actually start to look at the data on that, it's absolutely the opposite of what you're hearing there, right? So it's about the pool of people that are going in trying to get them in the first place. It's not about the actual number of people in the field. Do you follow me on that? Same thing in New
Mhm.
Mexico. With all these people putting in, it's a lot harder to draw
Mhm.
tags because it's one finite number of tags. It's just the amount of people make
The
the
lottery's a lot bigger.
the percentages get lower, the lower and lower because the amount of people putting in. It's not about
Changing the odds.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it
They're
changes the
managing
odds.
the right? No matter what they
Yeah.
are. So
Joe, on the Utah front, we might get Dr. Ward back on to talk to us about the intricacies in Utah. I know he's Dr. Preston Ward, our mountain physio guy that helps us with our ailments and stuff. Dr. Ward lives there in Utah, and I'm sure he
we
could
have a
give
lot of
insight.
folks in Utah that we could pull out because Utah is one of our biggest listening states. We get so many followers over there. It's a really cool place. But what I wanted to do with that was I wanted to use that as just kind of like a little magnifying glass of what's happening across a lot of the states there as well. And you can look at it and you can say, well, that's good for me, right?
Yeah.
It's good for me. But for me, I look at something else on that. I also look at the fact that we had people that got interested in hunting that is losing that interest in hunting. And again, like I started out at the beginning of the show talking about the fact that we have 4 or 5% of people in the United States that are hunters. To me, to see that number doing what it is, it also bothers me in a way because that makes our numbers smaller again, which in this atmosphere of people that are against hunting, and there's that 5% group that is really trying to sway the 80% group that doesn't have any opinion one way or the other. That's concerning to me, and maybe it's not something that and I'm just speaking off the top of my head here, is that we need more people like Manano taking their kids out, taking them pig hunting. We need more people taking their kids out squirrel hunting. I was raised squirrel hunting. I was raised rabbit hunting. Loved it, man. Duck
Still
hunting, pheasant hunting.
Rabbits are on the decline. Squirrels are protected.
Not in Texas, baby.
I mean,
whack and
look,
stack 'em.
if you look across the landscape, I mean it sounds funny for me. It sounded funny for me to say it, but it's legitimate. I mean, look at squirrel seasons, right? I mean, you look at squirrel seasons, you're like, what? It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
and then when you come here to Texas, there's not a season. You can hunt them
right. Well, you're in Texas,
bag
bro.
limit.
Come on.
There's no bag limit.
Texas,
Soon enough,
Texas
everybody will be going to Texas
anomaly,
to hunt elk.
bro.
Yeah.
Texas is its own,
Bro, we've got a herd of elk. It's like incredible.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why the Texas Parks and Wildlife has not sunk their teeth into that kind of dollar.
It's an exotic. They can't do it.
It's, I guess, not indigenous.
Yeah. But, back home in the South, squirrel hunting is a religion, man. Dove hunting is a religion.
It's a rite of passage, dude, in the southern states. I mean,
right. But look at dove numbers, look at squirrel numbers, look at rabbit numbers, right? So all that stuff, and maybe that's what they're telling us because of the atmosphere or the climate, so to speak. But when you look at that is all that field to plate traditional hunting, right? This is sustenance hunting. And unfortunately, and I'm just being real about it, sustenance hunting isn't the majority of our demographic.
Agreed.
Right? It's experience hunting or seeking, if you will.
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's the unfortunate part of where we're at with this.
So
Yeah,
my
most of the hunting demographic doesn't live off of what they're hunting. I mean, it's a
Right.
caveat, right?
Yeah.
It's a
It's a
perk.
benefit.
It's
Yeah.
a benefit, right? Man, this house runs on it, man.
dude,
I mean, we live on I just had a meal tonight, the night before that. It was all from what we killed and
yeah.
what we harvested, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, 90% of what we eat is from what we do.
Wow, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I just I didn't want to take us too down deep on that rabbit hole, but I thought that was interesting information and things to think about as we got there. But so one of the other places I wanted to talk about on the landscape, and I'm sure you'll have a lot to say about this guy is Colorado. There's a big discussion in Colorado on things that are affecting it. A lot of changes on the cusp here. Colorado really is probably the last place for true OTC hunting,
Absolutely is. As a resident of the fine state of Colorado, less some of the politics and shenanigans lately, non-residents stay the hell out. If I can move, you can move. Let's just throw that out there right now. I'm the worst transplant in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that I know touches guys' heart too is their move for conservation in an arena that's very controversial. We've seen what the numbers that came back from Montana and Wyoming and in with the wolves that have been introduced into Colorado again, and we're just fooling ourselves if it doesn't move further south. These are critters that they roam the earth, and their job is to control population in a way that's
but you can't
decimates things.
You can't even say it that way without lending a hand to the people that thought that this was a good idea, right? I mean, the wolves were here. I hunted with wolves in, we'll call it South Central ish, West Central Colorado in 2020. Like, there they are here. Cool to see on the landscape in that respect. Now, to understand that this was solely a political deal, right? This is where we can start talking about that ideological side and what is right on the landscape side. This was a fool's game to implement this, to put it in like this, to not, when your state wildlife agency has a gag order placed on it by the person that's supposed to be doing right by not just the people of the state, but the state entirely, you've taken a left turn, no pun intended, on the left. That just shouldn't have gone that way. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You look at where they released these wolves. We had you open up CPW's website and they talk about winter kill. Well, why in the world, if you have a winter kill that decimated herds, the worst winter kill you've seen in eons,
ages,
why would you put the apex predator on the landscape, call it a reintroduction when they're already here, to further decimate those winter herds? None of it makes sense, right? Applaud yourself about about the moose population. Put a predator on the landscape that is going to decimate that reintroduction of moose.
Yeah,
first.
The calves will be the first
They're
ones.
gonna go. They're gonna go after the moose. Then it's the elk herd. Then it's the mule deer. I mean,
Well, none of this was science-based. This whole action, none of this was science-based.
It wasn't. And what's disturbing is if they don't inject a way to control that population, then we're not doing ourselves a service at all by the reintroduction. I think other states, Canada included, they have a season on them, and they have
some of them are struggling.
Not all of them, but a lot of them do. And with that being said, at least you have an opportunity to be able to harvest them and manage their population, because they're not gonna they're not going to abide by our rules and not kill as many things as they. That's what they do.
That's
I
but
mean, that's
And,
what wolves do.
and some of those seasons in some of those states came at the time when their herds got decimated in areas.
Definitely, it
it
just
was
doesn't make a lot
all
of
in
sense.
hindsight.
Yes.
All in hindsight. We didn't look at any of that and go, oh wow, there's historical data that this is a bad decision.
Idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weak. It's weak on the leadership landscape, and I hope during voting times, guys will be able to have a voice.
Well, but here's the problem with sorry.
It's okay.
The problem with sportsmen in general is that we are complacent until it is too late.
Yeah.
Until our feet get stepped on and we fall flat on our face, we allow these things to happen and we don't come together. I mean, it is, as much as it is a political push from folks that don't care about what we do, don't want us doing what we do, we as a demographic have as much fault in the positions that we're in or see our way of life in because we don't do anything. We want to be left alone. They're not leaving us alone, but we still want to be left alone. So we take no action. I mean, it's upsetting. It's frustrating. But when you look at it, you go, well, it's bound to happen. We see it across the country, just on this platform. We've had conversation after conversation for the last 2 years about what's going on, right? But then you ask a guy, well, did you email this guy, or did you get on Howl, or did you do this? And they just look at you like,
F looking at a new gate.
Yeah. So it's like, well, what are we actually doing? So as upset as I am that they have done this, I got to look at the demographic and go, damn, guys, like,
I've heard from livestock commissions in Montana and Wyoming and stuff like that, and they swing a big stick, man. I'm just wondering, because it's a $1 billion industry, right? I'm just wondering where Colorado sits in that scope of things, where the cattlemen
they've been trying.
Yeah, I mean, it is gonna hurt them, in that big pocketbook, right? And when that happens, I think you'll see bigger activists get involved.
Well, they're trying, but it's been shot down.
Yeah.
So,
right. I mean, they upped the dollar amount for the, replacement, if you will. Sorry,
that's
Joe.
why there's actually some other, like we have that. I mean, that's our spilt milk right now, the wolves, but there's other things on the horizon that we had better use that. All of us, whether New Mexico, Wyoming, Arizona, I don't care where you're at here. We need to work on helping out some of the things initiatives that they have right now. I encourage everybody to go to Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management. Go to their site. That is c4rwm.com. Here it is right here on the bottom. I would encourage you to go and help support their initiatives, because it takes money and it takes people to get there. It takes us to be able to get our voices heard. And there's a lot of people, you just go to howl.org, HOWL.org as well. And these are people that are putting our voices together to be able to fight some of these initiatives that are happening. When they try to do things like eliminate what they define as trophy hunting, and then they start defining that so that eliminates being able to hunt cougars, or eliminates being able to hunt animals for certain reasons. Once they're able to create that definition, it is going to totally change our landscape of what we're going to be able to hunt and how we do it.
And just to note, right, if we sign up on these things and we get behind an email campaign, how doesn't function for free, right? So if you're going to get on and spend the time and you really care about our way of life, take a few bucks, right? Don't buy the special elk tag in Wyoming. Pay $700 for a general and take $200-$300, and it sounds like a lot of money, right? But when you look at what Charles has done over the last couple of years with how that's financed, it's a nonprofit, right? And I mean, he financed Howl and the app and everything out of his pocket, right? We got to step up $25, $35 for a t-shirt from your, favorite organization. It's not enough, guys. We got to do more than that.
Absolutely. So that's kind of getting on that as far as there any
Yeah, we get off of that. Can get me all fired
anything
up.
in Colorado as far as application things that you think people need to know about, Guy?
They're looking at they're on a 5-year cycle here in terms of evaluating the big game management plan. So we're in that cycle right now. So the biggest things that we see coming down are looking at non-resident tag allocation, whether or not the OTC situation should be pulled and go to a draw across the board, or pull OTC for non-resident, keep it alive for residents. Hoorah on that one. And kind of level the playing field, if you will, just with all the folks wanting to come in. And there's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, because I'm sure somebody's going to comment, right? I was a non-resident. I want to hunt elk so bad. I moved to the state that I hunted the most. So you got, you got a decision to make. So when you look at that, if you hear it in my voice, that I wouldn't mind them having, just resident OTCs, the wildlife in the state and the resources of the state are managed, by the state for the people of the state. So, kind of consider that when you're looking at opposition, and granted, not every state has an elk herd, and not everybody can, go out and hunt elk, but put in for the points, put in, your applications and kind of cross your fingers. It's what a lot of folks have to do. And, I think that's going to be the biggest impact we see. I know folks will say, well, non-residents pay, X amount of dollars into the system. I get it. Been there, done that. Been on both sides of that coin. I prefer the side of the coin I'm on now for a $40 tag. So,
I think the thing that worries me the most out of all this is we have organizations like Rocky Mountain Elk Federation, other the organizations that are trying to create more habitat and trying to do things for elk and building that habitat in these western states and different places. And when I see less non-resident opportunity, it really concerns me about people back east or Midwest and stuff continuing to contribute to organizations that are trying to create habitat in these western states. That's just one of the things that concerns me about all of that. Yeah, so I don't know if there's anything we can do about that, what we can say about that, but that's just one of my concerns that I see.
oh man, we can go to that. Well, this is a rabbit hole. You have
Yeah,
opened
yeah,
up a
man.
can.
Yeah,
buddy. I mean, I'm
For
okay.
sure.
I'm gonna just say it because I said that, right? So in the current time and space, is habitat the issue, or is protecting the herds on the ground? Should that be the focus? If we had an organization that has that financial backing, that could have helped put money towards legal to try and stop
Because Rocky
a
Mountain cannot do
reintroduction.
that in their form, right? They can't
Right.
lobby, right? Yeah.
Well, they can't lobby, but I'm sure there's some way to figure something out. I mean, we'd get into the whole 501, C3, C4, all that
Sure.
whole ditty there, but what's the priority, right? I mean, it has to, you can open up landscape, but if herds are decimated, what does that landscape matter for access if the herd is decimated?
Yeah, there's nothing there to hunt.
If the herd is cut in half, well, now tags are limited.
Yeah.
Right. That piece of
Cut the
landscape
land in half.
ultimately is going to benefit nature, we'll call it, or
Right.
wildlife, right?
Yeah.
All in all, everything's
Always.
going to benefit the trout in the stream to the
Yeah.
grouse in the tree.
Yeah.
But where is the priority? And I know there's caveats to how they all function, but it just, I don't know. It's frustrating to me.
The
man.
answer to my question that I want to put out there is all you people that are thinking that way, I want you to understand that I think some of our saving grace that is happening is we've got herds in Virginia, we have herds in Georgia, we have herds in Pennsylvania, we have herds in Missouri, we have
Oklahoma.
in Kentucky. So because of the efforts of the Rocky Mountain Elk Federation Foundation, I'm sorry, I always go to that federation foundation. We have grown now elk in Midwestern
Many
Eastern
states.
states. that is going to be the saving grace for a lot of these people that want to continue to chase these majestic animals. So that's where I say that you need to continue to help those organizations like that to be able to do what they're doing. Because if, as we get more of me and mine to the states that we are, that means that we're going to have to create more opportunity
Sure.
other
Sure.
states, right?
That's
So
right.
And some of those states, $10 app fees, $10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
I
yeah,
won't tell you which one. Do your homework.
yeah. Okay.
It's with some bulls, man.
Oh,
Biggins.
Some
Oh,
humdingers.
Biggins.
oh my gosh.
Biggins,
So-
farm bulls.
So, Guy, does Colorado have a harvest report?
Yes, sir.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
You do have to do a harvest report before you could actually even over the counter or apply.
I think they implemented that last year. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but
that's what
we
I
never
thought.
got one in 21. So yeah.
Yeah, I
No.
never
No.
had Phil.
I think it was.
But they-
I think that was implemented last year.
Yeah, that's what I
So-
thought.
We're going to kind of jump from that. We'll talk about some of the other states here in the future. We'll get some of that other information going on there because there's some things that we could actually podcast on some of the things that we've talked about tonight. And I think there's some important things to just talk about. You know, people that come here want to learn about how to elk hunt. It's just as important, man, to make sure that we have elk on the landscape and how we can do that as well. So we'll continue to hit some of those things. Gear changes for 2024. Does anybody have anything that is something that they're looking at? Because, you know, we had something that happened at elk camp this year that I thought was kind of amazing that I want to talk about. And but before I do, I want to find out if anything else that any type of gear that you think is big things coming down the pike, personal, professional, anything like that.
Yes, bike, quiet cat. That would be really helpful.
You're stealing my
Hey, what do you
thunder, man.
mean? What are you talking about?
We don't know what you're talking about.
He
Joe.
just jacked the thunder.
He jumped all over Joe's thunder. Man.
Oh my
Yeah, Joe,
God,
you
man.
should have went with it when you had a chance.
Yeah, you should have ran
Because
with it
it's-
when you had it.
I have a video of Gilbert Ornelas. You know, I can remember 3 years ago talking to him about an electric bike. Possibly these guys are going to bring it into camp, and Gil's like, "Oh joy!" I mean, that was literally. He's like, "Oh joy!" You know.
Okay. Yeah,
Like, I
an
wanna-
electric bike. I want to see that. In some of the areas that we hunt, it's be challenging to ride a bike like that. But we have experienced areas where it is really the cat's meow.
Yeah,
For sure.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so our friends in Manano got the text too. Everybody here got the text,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Our friends
Mhm.
over at Quiet Cat, have graciously said, "Ooh, the ElkBros, ooh, Western Contours, ooh, Western Hunt Fest," and said, "Hey, you guys come over here and get some of these ditties." And Manano I think Manano impressed us all with getting in and out of that area he was hunting last year with with that bike, right? And that's really
Yeah, man, it's
that's
game
really
changer.
what
It was a
grabbed me.
game
life
changer.
changer. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I will say,
absolutely.
we give the old man
Yes, sir.
a lot of guff.
Yeah.
And guess who the first guy that was like,
I
"Give me
can't
that
believe
damn
it."
bike, boy."
Yes, Joe Gillia has purchased an e-bike.
Yeah, man. Hey,
Oh,
It
that-
didn't take him long. We got him to a nuclear bow.
he
and
would have
now he's
had
on
it
a
2
nuclear
months
bike.
ago if he had his druthers. He was like, "What's going on, you son of a?"
He couldn't resist the evolution.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, if it wasn't for my wife, it had never happened. It was her idea she wanted to
Well, I don't
do that for a
know.
Christmas
I don't
gift
know.
for me. So that
The
was,
5 of us riding an e-bike. I don't know.
I was gearing up my 10-speed. I was getting it ready. I was wrapping duct tape around
yeah.
the tires, making
You
them
know,
flat.
right? I went by his house the other
Yeah.
day, and there's this little mono here. It's a little bike, and he's going. And he's pushing this little bike along. If that isn't a direct hint, I don't know what is.
So
Yeah, I'll be joining the parade here. I just sent Guy my orders. So,
All right.
in all reality, though, man, I mean, for me and Chav, our four-wheeler has been our horse for years. I mean, getting us into locations and places. And now that we've been hunting a lot of national forest, there's a lot of places that, we are not able to go into with that four-wheeler. And there's some trails and stuff that are absolutely in two tracks that the idea, and we used them on, so we've had them used on the ranch this year. Being able to move that silently and cover some area, and look, it's not a four-wheeler, it's not a motorcycle, it's an assisted pedaling is what it is. Nice assistance. I mean,
Yeah.
really nice assistance on that, but
well, initially it can take 2 to 4 miles off of your peds quickly and allow you to hunt even deeper and get home. Not so wiped out. I mean, where we hunt is tough sledding. And it doesn't matter how good a shape you're in, the mountain's going to come get you sooner or later. And that really is a game changer when you can get in and out of a place silently and scent free is a huge game changer for the landscape as well as for the hunter.
I know Manano and his dad were hunting, I don't know, they were probably 5 or 6 miles in from camp.
Yeah, I got all the way there in 15 minutes. And it took me 2 hours to get there.
Yeah.
Well,
So this was the day before. Miles.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, maybe 2 hours. Yeah. You think 15 minutes? I don't think you could have gotten that far in 15.
He was flying on that daggum bike.
No. The thing is that I had to walk, and there were like two walls
Real
like
steep
this,
areas,
really steep areas. So I have to walk those two. But
so I haven't been on that. I haven't been on that kind of trail yet. I'm still like I've still got my training wheels on, right? So I'm working on getting to know the bike. But what about did you ever hit any branches across the trail or any obstacles or anything like that that
they're really steady, but you have to go like in third or fourth gear and get some energy to go up. And
pedal assist, right? There's a lot of pedaling.
Yes, but you have to go like a higher gear, like a third or fourth at least, in order to develop speed going up. So, but they're really steady, really steady.
But again, you didn't answer my question about did you ever have any
I did not,
4-inch sticks or anything you had to go over?
No.
It does add an element of safety involved. So, I would definitely implore people to wear the proper PPE and safety equipment to protect yourself from an accidental fall or
four-wheeler, bro.
Yeah, I have seen that firsthand. Where
you push one of those things at 28 miles an hour and you beef it on a mountain trail. It's not improved. Ain't a four-wheeler is gonna sound like F. Joe Gillia after that. I will say that if folks are interested in that, get on Quiet Cat's website and kind of look at the options and the offerings there, right? Because you have different types of drives. You have mid drive, you have hub drive. There's differences in how they perform based on your terrain, but then you also need to look at the rules, regs, and laws in your area of national forest in your state to understand what is legal and what is legal. You don't want to be in that, I didn't know that naivety doesn't decrease the odds of you getting a ticket if you're in the wrong area. So just, pay attention to that stuff too.
Yeah, so, in law, it's called a mistake of fact. At the end of the day, there ain't no mistaking the facts. That's for sure.
So I think there was a national forest ruling for e-bikes as well, because
Can be. Mhm.
yeah, I think that's something to pick up because they I'm going to find it here so that we can put on there, but there was actually a ruling to help have e-bikes on national forest as well. But
Uh,
I I
I think in our green landscape that's coming forward, I think they're even going to play a bigger role in what we do.
yeah,
Mhm.
Beto, I remember when I hunted down in Waco,
Mhm.
Nate Whitney and Aquila,
Mhm.
the Corps of
Public land.
Engineer, they don't allow e-bikes.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I don't know now. It was
Because
like
it's so
7 years
silent,
ago.
brother. You could get in there and rip out of there. Ain't nobody. You're like a thief in the night, dude.
Yeah.
Kind of like a fart in the wind.
I was trying to find the video. I have of Manano whipping through the camp on that
Oh
thing.
man, that thing would fly.
yeah,
And I drove it on its highest setting, man. For me, I got to figure out what something's going to do, you know. So I'm telling you, and they're very powerful. Even the newer models that got even, I think they're another 250 watts to them. So they're 1,000 watt
Right.
motor. So
Yeah,
so
1,500 on
so there
some.
was something
yeah.
that like when you talked about the motor, and that was one of the considerations is that how they are motor driven, some of them are what they
Mhm.
call mid motors, where that's
Love,
actually
yeah.
powering the assistance comes through where your pedaling area is on that gear right there.
Mhm.
So it's assisting there in the mid part of it. And then there's one that is a hub driven.
Yep. Yep.
So that's actually happening on the back tire area inside that hub right there. And both of them have their pros and cons on that because if
Sure.
you have a hub driven bike and your chain bus, it still can motor, right?
Right.
So,
Yep.
but I'd be interested to see how much because you were on one of the Rangers actually, Manano, that was hub driven, and we had a lot of ups and down and hills on that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That we
Yeah.
did that, but they're not supposed to be as strong as the mid engine, the mid drive on those bikes as far as hills go. They're supposed to give you a little bit more torque on the mid drive. The
Right.
problem being though, you break a chain on a mid drive, you're done, until you fix
Yeah.
that chain. You'd better have a
You're
backup
pushing.
plan for that, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and remember, Mr. Ed, he
He
got
had
a two
Yeah,
wheel
two
drive.
hubs.
he
Yeah,
had two hub wheel drive on
yeah.
Yeah.
that e-bike.
yeah. And that bike happened to be none of the brands that are developed for hunters, right?
Right.
And that's one
Right.
thing I want to tell people is there, I really did a lot of research when I started doing this because really I started looking on GuideFitter because on
Mhm.
GuideFitter we got a discount being, outfitters and guides on that, a real nice discount on there. So I started looking at the different ones there and started comparing other ones. And what I did was I went to reviews and you start looking at reviews on how people are, you know, how they feel about their purchase and what it did for them. And man, I tell you, I was really looking at, and the reason I got drawn to Quiet Cat hadn't, at that point in time, hadn't even had a conversation with them. It was through because of the purchase options I had on GuideFitter and the fact that it was a bike that had incredible reviews from people that were using it, man, that were just satisfied with what they were with the product. And that meant a lot to me right there. So that's when I started to
Sure.
look at it. And for me, again, it's kind of like that four wheeler. If I have an option to put, whether I pull a trailer back there or whether I put a pack on my back and I go in some place that's got a 2-track that you can't drive on in National Forest, but you can take an e-bike and I can get
Yeah.
back in there 4 miles now, and I've got the ability to get an animal out of there because of that,
Yeah.
that opens up options for me. So
Right.
that's something
Right.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think as we evolve as elk hunters, we can never turn our deaf ear to technology and its advancements, right? I think we limit our toolbox, and when we limit our toolbox, we can't be as effective, right? So I think we owe it to ourselves. I can't thank Guy enough for steering us in that right direction and having a conversation with those guys. And we're welcome to be associated with riding those Quiet Cats, man. I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to watch it work and ride the trails that we can use it on, and take some pressure off our feet, man. Every extra mile that you can hunt, man, just means more opportunity to stay in the woods.
It's a difference.
Yeah, it's a game changer, man.
Well, I look at the fact of the mileage I put on my feet anyway, and I take that, and now if I'm able to go to a different point and know that I
Extend
can, so this is the most critical for me is, look, I know how deep I can go in on my feet, right?
Sure.
And then I can hunt from that area on my feet, but I got to be responsible on getting that animal out of there. So
that's right. Well, it helps to have a Manano and a Luis. They're two of the best pack mules in the world, man. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, but they don't like to hike too far back in there, bro. That's the
they don't.
I'm getting old.
Exactly.
You're getting old.
I tell you, another game changer for me, Joe, this year in gear was, our partnership with Tuo, and we'll talk about, as we go forward this year, the gear. I have worn the merino stuff down here. Texas isn't known for how cold it can get, but I'm going to tell you what, brother, the last couple of weeks, it's been absolutely chilly down here. And when it's in the mid 30s here and that north wind's blowing 15 miles an hour, it's cold.
Feels like 20.
And then where Manano and them are up on the Red River, it is super cold, man.
RC, tell these boys about cold.
Yeah. It's in the negative stuff there. But being able to sit as long as I have with the least amount of clothing on, it's been because of the merino wool brand that it is. And man, it is. I can't wait to see what they come out with next. The pants were fantastic. The merino wool's been phenomenal. The jacket has been very versatile. And surprisingly, as I've washed it, it's gotten quieter. So bow hunting with it, it's not a problem. A lot of jackets that are twinned where they're water resistant or repellent, and also where you can stay lightweight. It's still pretty noisy when you're bow hunting. Yeah. And when you got a whitetail at 6 yards and it's so quiet, you can hear a gnat piss on cotton for 1,000 yards. It really means the difference of you being able to draw and not draw. Just that one brush that you hear when you draw across your body, So it's been a game changer. And, the puffy we've talked about, the puffy has been crazy warm when we get on our UTV and ride to our stands in the morning or ride to our hunting areas. We put that puffy on and I don't need anything else. So it's been a game changer for us here. And Guy Duplantier, got to give him a shout out. He sent me some tips on a great pair of socks. Everybody knows that I like to take care of my feet, and shout out to Wuru. Those guys have built an incredible product. Their socks are second to none. I absolutely love them. And again, another merino based product, right? So
the thing with merino, boys, is when you go through your wash processes, you don't use fabric softener on that merino.
Right. That's
right. You coat that and you kind of take that wicking property away from that stuff. So just, my wife will tell you, why does I shouldn't have to wash hunting clothes, and I always tell her to leave them alone. She puts that
exactly. I do all of mine.
Yeah, I'll do mine.
Yeah, so just watch that if folks are purchasing 150, 250 base layers, wool socks, whatever it is, don't matter the brand. Stay away from the softeners.
Mm-hmm. And I can't thank Aaron Amber and his crew enough. He's extended us a full slate of gear to wear, and man, I know Guy's got his own his own opinions on all of it. And I'm looking forward to our meeting with them tomorrow. But at the end of the day, man, it has really helped me, and not just the elk hunt. We were in Canada when we first brought it out, and all the way through elk season. I guided in New Mexico this year in really cold temperatures. 16, 18 degrees in the morning. I literally wore a vest, my merino wool,
I've been up there. I was up there yesterday morning at -13, and that puffy was just sweet.
The puffy, my merino wool, and a vest. That's it, guys. 16 degrees, wind blowing. The guy that I was guiding was freezing to death because he had a big parka on, some long johns, yada yada, and it just wasn't cutting it. And he was like, "You gonna freeze to death out there?" I said, "I don't think so, Han." I mean, this stuff is
RC
legit.
lives in the coldest place in the daggum nation over there, man, in Cuesta. How's it been for you, man, RC?
Oh, it's been awesome. I mean, it's just like you say, you put that puffy on, you don't need to put anything else on. But you know, we're cold here. I live in Siberia.
It's literally one of the coldest places in the United
Yeah,
States.
it is.
Oh yeah.
And
Oddly-
why is that?
Oddly enough, the best feature of, if in my opinion, the best feature on that puffy is the hood.
Yeah.
The fit and the shape of
Oh,
that
yeah.
The
hood.
way it
Fits
shapes on your
perfect.
cap
It
and
is.
everything.
It is the
Mhm.
best.
It doesn't
The
allow
best.
air to go in the way
No.
it fits.
Right, the way that they
regular-
shaped it. I mean, you know,
yeah.
typically you see a hood, and you know, there's
Mhm.
folks that spend a lot of time on that stuff, right? And they really really nailed it with that hood.
Oh,
You could
yeah.
have a puffy with all the warmth in the world. If it's escaping, right, heat rises.
Right.
If it's escaping out of that hood, guess what? You're not as warm as you could be. So, you know, big.
Right.
It may sound odd, but everybody here nodded when I said it. That's the things that I look for when I'm, you know, when I'm
Oh,
running gear or testing gear and stuff. I want those finer points, man, and they hit it home with that puffy all the way around.
Well, in the merino
If
hood,
you-
it's ergonomically fit as well. Man.
Right,
It comes
right.
up over your hood. It comes up
Right.
over your cap and doesn't hang down in front of you. I mean, it is very well fit. So then you wear that on top of the hoodie, and then
That's the best combination ever.
I wear
Yeah,
a
the way they did that
balaclava
hood,
or a merino.
Chav's
wool.
in that puffy every morning.
Yeah.
I'd say,
Mhm.
man.
Every morning.
My
Yeah,
daughter
it's
and
a-
I made a stalk on a nil guy in South Texas, and we needed to wear a face covering. And all I had was my 2.0 face covering, which I have a balaclava and just the gator, the neck gator. So I gave her my neck gator. Well, it was like 60 degrees. Oh my God, dude. She like to burnt up with that neck gator on. She said, Dad, I'm going to pass out with this thing on. It's so hot, you know. She said, but I mean, we would not have been able to make that stalk with her face shining. I mean, Neil got incredible eyes, like a freaking eagle,
Little guy,
and
yeah.
they're amazing critters.
Turkeys, better than
They-
turkeys.
You bet way better than a turkey. I mean, we were getting spotted from 600 yards away, and they would just run off, you know. So again, shout out to the warmth of that thing. We were up in the mornings were really cold. We put that balaclava on or that neck gator on, and it made riding in the exposed Jeep so much more enjoyable, man. So like the guy said, the hoodie, the hood that's on that puffy is an absolute game changer.
It's a great, and then the features they have on the pants, right? I really enjoyed, you know, the knife pocket. And there's, you know, there's some things that I want to see them improve on,
Sure.
you know, when
Yeah,
it
the
comes to the
zipper.
pant. But
The
when you
zipper of
talk
the
about,
pockets.
see, and I didn't mind that. I didn't mind the zipper. I know Luis had a problem with the zipper, and I think everybody was in concurrence, but me, I didn't mind the zipper and how it functioned. And it was a solid pant, right? I wore that thing all of September. I intentionally did not wash them because one of their things is their, you know, their
EWR.
odor protection, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to it. So I was like, okay, so we're going to test this out too. So you're talking, you know, pretty much 30 days on the mountain, plus my second rifle season. They didn't get a wash. I wore them as they were and never stunk to the high heavens. And they are extremely comfortable. And I wore the ones with the grid fleece. I think that's the Climb Pad, CLIME, is the pant that I wore all the way through September and then into my late seasons.
Yeah, I
stayed
did
in
the
it.
same. I did the same, and I really like the feature. The feature that you can open the sides of the leg
Yeah.
with the
It's just-
zipper. That's amazing.
Yeah, really, really, really ecstatic about how that stuff performed through all that use and abuse.
Yeah, and I'll speak for Luis too, since he's not here. He's been traveling with his family this week, some family in Jacksonville, but I'll speak with him. He and I both have been testing multiple broadheads on the front with pigs and with deer as well. And man, the boys here in the States with Tooth of the Arrow broadheads have built an absolute hammer of a broadhead. The devastation that has been inflicted upon the game that we've been after, the great penetration, the big holes. I mean, literally
Blood
blind
trail.
people could follow the blood trails with these things. Luis, a big proponent of building some really quality arrows that are hard hitting and heavy. And, I got him to back off and even go to a 175 grain broadhead. And, he's shot several pigs, and my son's killed a couple of deer. And I mean, it's been tremendous to watch the success with these guys. And I'm glad these are American guys that have produced a really great product that, I'm proud to be able to help test and be part of. So that brought, and it flies tremendous, and it's a 4-blade, man. You would think that it would have a hindrance on penetration and everything. It outperforms just about everything I've shot.
And it comes with a sharpener, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, are they
Yeah.
giving you the sharpener with it now?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you ask them for it,
Oh, okay.
we kind of have a little bit of an inside deal there as well, Guy. But if you ask them for a sharpener, they'll either send
They'll
you
send
one,
it to you.
or they'll discount it like crazy because they
Yeah.
want. They're very sharp right out of the box. But what I love about it is when you shoot it through an animal, you run it over that sharpener about 3 licks on each blade, and you are ready to rock and roll. I've got one broadhead in my quiver that's killed 5 animals already this fall.
What's impressive about that broadhead is that the wound channel that it creates, right? I mean, it's square.
Devastating.
It's a
it's
giant square
it's
going through
devastating.
there, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we could
I-
talk
Yeah.
different stuff with penetration
Yeah,
and blah blah
yeah.
blah 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 blah.
Single
right? But
bevel, and they've even
right.
come out with a single bevel head, right? But they still doesn't out penetrate with their 4-blade, S series, or even their. And I shoot the V series. I don't even shoot the S series.
Oh, you're shooting the Venet.
I am, and
Yeah,
dude,
that's
they're
crazy.
amazing, man. They're fast. They hit really hard. So I'm very impressed with them. Luis and I are always trying to find the next best thing when it comes to gear and ammo and arrows. So it's been phenomenal.
Yeah,
And I got a. Oh, sorry.
Just on that, Cole Wilkes has a podcast where he tested the same broadhead, so you might be
Yeah.
interested in that
Yeah, on the YouTube channel, he does.
on the YouTube channel. Yeah.
And Lusk has put out great reviews. He reviews just about every broadhead, and he's put out great reviews, and have taken a lot of animals with tooth of the arrow broadheads.
Beto, I have killed several pigs with the Cayuga one. We have to give him some credit.
For sure. Great head.
Deer.
Another one Guy Duplantier recommended. Great head. Flies really good, super sharp.
So I got to correct myself. Manano said zippers on the side, so I wasn't talking about the climb. I was talking about the aptitude
Gotcha.
soft shell pants. That's the one I wore all season. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to correct myself on that. And then on talking gear reviews and stuff like that, if you guys get on westerncontours.com. I spent a little time over the last couple of weeks getting some gear stuff on there. So I'm going to kind of focus some energy into that since I'm spending money so you don't have to.
Yeah.
And, get on westerncontours.com. I got some, recommendation stuff that I'm using, and then I'll just be reviewing a lot of the stuff that I've used for multiple seasons. And I want this to be unbiased.
Yeah.
I'm not, if it's a friend's company, I'm gonna give you the honest truth from my experience, et cetera, et cetera. So that's available for folks as well. Sorry, Joe, I'm plugging.
No, you're all good, bro.
All good. And Guy, we appreciate you doing that, man. You and I banter all the time about gear and philosophy and stuff like that. But look, it is this what makes us the successful hunters that we are. We're all going to listen to one another. Guy's a big proponent of, and I'm telling you, it's a fantastic boot, Salewa boots, right? And I want to try a pair. They just don't make one wide enough for my big hoof, right? So at the end of the day, I've sent them an email and said, guys, when y'all gonna make a quadruple E, for us big-footed fellas, but at the end of the day, I know that's got to be a quality piece of gear. Guy doesn't wear anything or doesn't promote anything that he doesn't put on himself And neither do we. You know, when we're interacting with people in the woods, they're like, "Oh my God, you are wearing that! Oh my gosh, y'all are carrying that bow. Y'all are shooting that broadhead." I mean, yeah, I mean, guys, we're just real people, man. We ain't nobody special. I mean, this is what we do. We love what we do. We have a platform here because of our listeners to be able to bring y'all what's working for us. Not saying it's the be all end all, but at the end of the day, it's what works for us in our setups. And we want to give you that information so you too can be successful and try it out for yourself, you know.
Right on, boy. Let's rock.
Joe, you got anything else?
The only thing I got is that this podcast will come out Monday or Tuesday. So this coming Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll be at the Denver Convention Center for the International Sportsman's Expo. I'll be doing a couple of seminars while we're there. We'll have the booth there. Guy will be there with us. I think Gil's going to be there for a day. RC will be there. So come on over and talk with us. Let's talk elk. Looking forward to, man, I tell you, we got so many people from Colorado that are listeners and stuff, man. Denver is our top listening city every doggone week, yeah. Man. So looking forward to meeting folks out there, meeting some of our grinders, talking elk, and hey, man, bring your calls. We even talk about some help you out with some calling that while we're there as well. So looking forward to it.
Joe, let me ask you a question, and I haven't asked you this yet, so I'm going to preempt it here. Are you going to do any pre-sale of any tags going on?
There will not be pre-sale of tags while we're there because we're not in that process of where we know exactly what our tags look like. So that's going to be just a little bit later on. Hopefully we can hit that here in the mid part, when we start hitting some of the Western Hunt Fests.
Sounds good. Hoorah. Well, guys, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe, rate, and review us. You got to go to Apple Podcasts or iTunes to review us, and be sure to include your name and where you're from to get in on our drawing. I'm sure Joe will bring back the spin a winner wheel.
Yep.
I'm sure it's going to be coming on. Also, I wanted to give a really awesome plug to our buddy over at Bow Hitch, Mondo. And he's going to be, y'all check him out on social media. He's bringing back the random act of kindness deal. And, I know ElkBros and ElkBros Fashion will be participating in that. I know guys going to be participating in that as well. So I can't wait to do some things with that random acts of kindness. I had a blast with it last year. So y'all check out Mondo at bowhitch.com. And I'm sure if you guys check out his social media, y'all will be able to follow him there and get in on the random acts of kindness deal.
Yeah, Gil, you're going to have to do something for ElkBros because Mondo told me Joe denied him.
Oh, man. There's no way Joe denied Mondo.
You know better than that, dude. That's something really cool coming up, man. It is a great giveaway. You can win a hunt.
Yeah, it is.
A hunt access in Maui. And we're working on a special hunt giveaway as well.
That's awesome, man.
Wonderful.
You can check out more elk hunting content as well at ElkBros.com. And as Joe said, we don't have tags available yet, but at ElkBrosAdventures.com, there will be ways to purchase tags through our outfitting company. Y'all hit us up and let's get started now so you guys ain't behind the gun. And just a reminder, if all our listeners would like their questions answered on our show, just need to send your questions to info@elkbros.com. That's INFO at elkbros.com. And like we say down here in the Lone Star State, husbands, kiss your wives. Wives, kiss your husbands. Hug your babies. Keep your broadheads sharp and your powder dry. And we'll see you next week right here on Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Peace, everybody.
Peace out. Peace.
Man. Good night. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And for all the grinders out there, here's some more music from our brother, Tony Wintry.
Here we go! Tough, and the days leaves are dragging by. Nothing seems to go my way, and I'm ready to say goodbye to all of this garbage on TV. I believe I'm better off in the mountains peacefully, where the leaves are green and the air is nice and dry. Hit the forward button, man, it's almost time. Is it September yet? I'm all in. Flinging sticks in the high country, let the games begin. Is it September yet? My tank is full of gas. If you don't sign that leaf slip, boss man, I'm out of here. You're gonna kiss my ass. Is it September yet? Is it September yet? Summer goes fast. Yeah, fall is coming. We'll be here before you know it, man. While I'll be running and gunning. It's time to be savage, not average. When the old bull's screaming, the sun's coming over the ridge right now. All those canyons, they'll be singing. Is it September yet? I'm all in. Time to leave July behind me and make August a has-been. Is it September yet? I can't take this pain no more. Bugling bulls in the mountain air is what I'm living for. Is it September yet? Is it September yet? Oh yeah! Dice, gonna take it all in every morning and night. Play them big old bows like an old Hank tune. When the shot is right, you know I'm gonna send it. Money in the bank shot, you know I'm gonna spend it all at once. I won't have no regrets. Is it September